We often confuse toughness with strength. We think a mentally strong kid is the one who doesn't cry when they fall, the one who mans up when they're scared, or the one who just gets on with it when things get hard. But in the world of child psychology, that's not strength. That's a mask. The most dangerous thing a parent can do is ignore a child's childhood, their emotions, their small struggles, and their need for connection. Because when a child's world is ignored, their brain goes into survival mode. They realize that being honest doesn't get them what they need. So they become something else. They become manipulators. They learn to pull strings, play emotions, and hide their true selves just to feel seen. Welcome back to Baby's Mind Secrets. Today we are decoding the blueprint for true mental strength. We're going to look at why ignored childhoods produce master puppeteers, why resilience is actually built through connection rather than hardness, and how you can raise a kid who is mentally unbreakable without them ever needing to manipulate a single soul. By the end of this video, you'll have the 4 pillars of mental strength and a step-by-step guide to handling a child who has already started playing the manipulation game. Let's dive in. 1. The attention void and the birth of the manipulator. To raise a strong kid, we first have to understand the manipulation trap. A child's brain is biologically wired to seek proximity and attention. It's a survival instinct. If a parent is physically present but emotionally absent, ignoring the child's bids for connection, the child's brain perceives this as a threat to their survival. The psychological shift, when being good or vulnerable gets no response, the child's brain looks for a tactical workaround. They notice that if they act sick, mom stays home. They notice that if they pit dad against mom, they get the toy. They notice that if they guilt trip you, you stop ignoring them. This is the birth of the manipulative child. It isn't a personality flaw. It's a strategic response to neglect. They aren't being bad. They are being effective. They have learned that in this house, the only way to be heard is to be indirect. Mental strength, on the other hand, requires the ability to be direct. A mentally strong kid doesn't need to manipulate because they know their voice has value. They know that even if they fail, or they're sad, or they're angry, their safe harbor, that's you, will be there. Resilience is the luxury of a child who doesn't have to spend all their energy gaming their parents. 2. The 4 pillars of a mentally strong brain. So if manipulation is the shadow, what does the light look like? Psychologists agree that mental strength in children is built on 4 specific neurological pillars. Pillar 1, emotional regulation, the internal thermostat. Mental strength starts with the ability to feel a big emotion, like rage or disappointment, and not let it hijack the brain. This is built through co-regulation. When you ignore a crying child, you are leaving them to regulate alone before they have the hardware to do it. A strong kid is one whose parents sat with them in the fire until they learned how to hold the matches. Pillar 2, the growth mindset, the power of yet. A mentally strong kid views a mistake as data, not death. If a child is ignored when they fail or shamed when they make a mess, they develop a fixed mindset. They become afraid to try. A strong kid knows that I can't do this yet. Pillar 3, agency and autonomy. Manipulation is a search for power. Mental strength is the possession of agency. When we give kids small, age-appropriate choices, we feed their need for power in a healthy way. A kid with agency doesn't need to be tricky to feel in control. Pillar 4, secure attachment. This is the superpower. It's the deep-seated knowledge that I am loved for who I am, not for how I perform. When a parent ignores the childhood, they break this attachment. When you engage with the small stuff, You build the foundation for the big stuff later. We're about to get into the manipulation reset and how to actually handle a kid who is currently pulling your strings. But first, a quick parenting in the trenches check-in. If you are currently watching this while trying to ignore the fact that there is a Lego-themed disaster zone in your living room, or if you've ever realized your toddler has more negotiation power than a Fortune 500 CEO, you are in the right place. At Baby's Mind Secrets, we know that raising a strong kid usually means having a very loud house. We're here to help you make sense of the noise. If you want the psychological tools to stay one step ahead of your tiny masterminds, hit that subscribe button. Join our community of expert-level negotiators. Give this video a like if you've ever been guilt-tripped by someone who still thinks socks are optional. And tell us in the comments, what's the one thing your kid does that always gets your attention? Let's see which tactics are trending in the comments. 3. The danger of the stone-face parent. We have to talk about the stone-face parent. This is the parent who believes that by ignoring a child's dramatic emotions, they are teaching them to be strong. The science says the opposite. When you ignore a child's emotional bid, even if it seems small to you, you are triggering their amygdala, the fear center. Their brain enters a state of hypervigilance. A hypervigilant child is not a strong child. They are a fragile child. They become obsessed with reading your moods, anticipating your anger, and finding angles to get what they need. This is the training ground for manipulation. Mental strength is built in the repair. Strong kids come from homes where parents aren't perfect, but where parents are present. When you acknowledge their feelings, I see you're really frustrated that the tower fell. You are giving them the emotional vocabulary to be direct. When a kid can say, "I feel lonely," they don't have to break a vase to get you to look at them. 4. How to handle the manipulative phase. Now, what if the manipulation has already started? What if your kid is already a master of the guilt trip or the pitting parents against each other move? You have to move from reaction to observation. Manipulation thrives in the dark. It relies on you not noticing the game being played. When you react with anger or by giving in, the child wins the interaction. To handle this, you have to change the rules of engagement. You have to move back to the childhood you might have been ignoring. You have to start rewarding directness and ignoring the indirect games. You are essentially retraining their brain to realize that the manipulation software is now obsolete, and the strength software is the only thing that gets results. Here are the 4 psychological steps to stop the manipulation and start building a mentally strong kid. Step 1. The name the game strategy. When you see the manipulation happening, call it out with 0 emotion. It feels like you're trying to make me feel guilty, so I'll say yes to the candy. In this house, we don't use guilt to get what we want. We ask directly. If you ask directly, I might still say no, but I will always listen. You are stripping the power away from the manipulation by making it visible. Step 2. The attention audit. For the next 7 days, look for the quiet bids. When your child shows you a drawing or tells you a boring story about a bug, give them 100% of your eyes. If you fill their attention tank with high-quality, non-manipulative connection, their brain will stop hunting for it through tricky behaviors. Step 3. Enforce natural consequences. Boringly. A mentally strong kid understands that actions have results. If they manipulated a sibling to get a toy, the toy goes away. Don't yell. Don't lecture. Just be boringly consistent. Manipulation is high drama. If you respond with 0 drama, The brain realizes the ROI, return on investment. For manipulation isn't worth the effort. Step 4. Validate the hard emotions. When they are acting out, stop and ask, what is the feeling under the behavior? Are they scared, tired, lonely? When you validate the feeling, you remove the need for the behavior. A kid who feels understood is a kid who is ready to be strong. Raising a mentally strong kid isn't about the absence of struggle. It's about the presence of a parent. When you stop ignoring the small stuff of their childhood, you stop the need for them to become a mastermind just to survive. You aren't just raising a kid who can handle the world. You're raising a kid who is at home in their own skin. If you found this look into the manipulation trap helpful, please give us a like. It tells the algorithm that parents are ready to choose connection over toughness. What's next? To understand what happens when that survival instinct turns into refusing to sleep, watch our video on the psychology of infants that refuse to sleep right here. Thanks for watching Baby's Mind Secrets. Build the bond, build the strength, and we'll see you in the next one.